Within the next few weeks, everyone fully expects Warner Brothers to be sold in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's going to be to Comcast, who only wants part of it, whether it's going to be to Netflix, who only wants part of it, or whether what seems the most likely scenario, it's to Paramount, who wants the entire thing, bad parts and all. They want all of Warner Brothers. And as these second bids and third bids and fourth bids from a bunch of these different companies have now come out and are public, including some money from foreign investors when it comes to a place like Paramount, it seems like Paramount is the leader in the clubhouse. And when you look at the hoops that you would have to jump through for someone like Netflix to buy the studios and the third biggest streamer that exists in the world right now, in addition to their biggest streaming service in the world, it looks like it might be tough for them to get that done, tougher than it would be to get that cleared than it might be for Paramount to do the same exact thing. But really, one of the more interesting parts of all of this has been, if Warner Brothers is sold, what happens to the DC universe? And for weeks and weeks, we've heard a lot of mumbles. We've heard a lot of rumors. Some people saying, don't worry, James Gunn's completely safe. Everybody loves what James Gunn is doing there. Don't worry, we promise it'll be fine. We've also heard a lot of other shit. A lot of other whispers that, no, it's not all fine. And if somebody else buys this company, there's certainly no guarantee that James Gunn's DC Universe is the future for this company in the aftermath. There wasn't even any guarantee before they get sold, let alone after. Changes to DC Studios leadership could happen if the Ellisons buy Warner Brothers. These are the new reports that are coming out from Puck News, Matt Belloni. James, and even everything DCU, which has been a shill account since it started, James Gunn and Peter Safran may not have full control of DC Studios if Paramount buys Warner Brothers. And that is the new big thing in the news today. And certainly, this is coming at a time where it seems like there's another Zack Snyder news or Zack Snyder picture that gets posted, or somebody somewhere in the sphere talking about the possibility of Zack Snyder coming back and restoring his vision at DC if and when it gets sold. Now, talked about it before. I do quite like a lot of those movies, and I think that people are getting their hopes up a little bit. I think that the hurdles in order to do something like that, all the actors would have to come back. I think that that's a lot. And I think people may be getting their hopes up a little bit. But the truth is, the reason so many people are talking about Zack Snyder's DC Universe right now is because so many people were underwhelmed with James Gunn's Superman. Despite the media trying to convince you that it was a smash hit, despite activists in the media doing the same thing, and even trying to contradict their own publications in terms of trying to spin this movie as super profitable in theaters. Despite all the shill accounts that are out there, despite the army of fucking bots that clearly were at play when it comes to hyping this thing up, the truth is, the Superman movie was not some massive, huge fucking phenomenon. It just wasn't. It was a little disappointing for Warner Brothers in theaters. And now, when it comes to the future of DC, a lot of people would not mind if James Gunn ends up leaving. But now, here are the reports that are coming out. Paramount to limit James Gunn and Peter Safran's control of DC Studios if they buy Warner Brothers. And a lot of this, we saw Cosmic Book News, who's been on top of a lot of this stuff. I think I like some of the articles from Cosmic Book News better than others. Matt McGloin over there. Shout out to Matt McGloin. Since the confirmation that Warner Brothers Discovery was for sale, one of the most contentious elements of the story was the fate of James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios, as well as the new DCU film and television franchise. There have been reports from websites, assurances from studio sources, suggestive talk from Gunn himself, and the ever-present insistence that Zack Snyder's DCEU would rise from its grave and replace the burgeoning DCU. Now, word comes from Puck News indicating the truth lies somewhere in the middle of these possibilities, which is, until the sale goes through and some announcements are made, is all the reports. A new story in Matt Belloni's What I'm Hearing column indicates Gunn and Safran will have less creative control in the DC universe than they do under the current Warner Brothers regime. According to Belloni, Paramount is crushing on filmmaker Zach Krieger, who just made Weapons, by the way. Paramount Pictures co-chair Josh Greenstein met with Krieger. So I think he flew to Prague or some shit just to meet with him and talk to him about a DC movie in case they end up winning the bid to get Warner Brothers. This is before they even have fucking control of it. These are the things that they're setting up right now. And they discussed an idea Krieger has for a film set in a particular corner of the DC universe. Greenstein then told Krieger he'd be more than happy to make that happen if possible. Paramount declined to comment. This is certainly the same movie Krieger's previously said that he had written. Now, look, a lot of things are in flux. A lot of things are in play. And there's even some reports that even as of now, because of the disappointing nature of what many view as the results from Superman, that you've got like DeLuca and Abdi who are taking a little bit more control after some of the hits they had this year for Warner Brothers Movie Studio as opposed to DC Studios. Who knows who ends up getting it? I've said from the beginning I thought it would be Paramount. And the longer this has gone on, the more likely it seems to me that Paramount truly will be the one at the end of the day to get it. But certainly could be Netflix. Comcast seems like the third dog in this thing at this point, but who knows? I have a hard time believing that whoever buys this, something major won't happen when it comes to the DC universe. Because there will be no guarantees at the end of this. James Gunn's only under contract, I think, until 2027. I think 2027, if I believe. Maybe it might expire next year. I don't know. We've already seen plans change a lot for the DC universe from what they told us would happen to what is actually happening. And I don't think that they are happy internally with that return from Superman. And you've seen all the cope. You've seen all the spin. You've seen everything in everyone's power that they could possibly do to make it seem like they're really happy. It's almost like they're trying to sell the company to the highest bidder and get the most value out of it, which is why I would say that everything's going swimmingly as well. But the reality is when you look at those numbers and you look at the reaction since then, you see this uptick in the number of people who would rather see Zack Snyder have another shot at it than see the continuation of James Gunn's universe. Couple weeks, something's going to happen to Warner Brothers, one way or the other. It's going to be a massive shakeup, and certainly DC is going to be in the middle of all of that.